Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
I guess it's JD.
I guess it's JD. It's always JD, and it's always Michelle. Is it always you, dear listener? Is this your first time tuning in? Well, hello, welcome. If it's your second or more times tuning in, thanks. Glad that we caught your attention at least once. Hopefully that can continue. If you're new to the show, we watch Shudder. You can be part of the we if you also watch Shudder. We as a collective whole watch Shudder, the horror streaming service. It's great. It's pretty cool.
Be the we know you can be.
Yep, be the we and we watch Shudder.
That makes about as much sense as this week's movie. Oh, I'm getting into it already, Michelle. Oh, man.
Well, this week's movie is a long-awaited adaptation of Stephen King's short story called Children of the Corn. Luckily, when I read that book in like the 90s, I was like, man, I hope that we get a movie about this. And luckily, we finally got it in 2023. Finally, a Children of the Corn movie. Right, JD? The first one.
Michelle.
Uh-huh.
This is the 12th.
What?
The 12th Children of the Corn movie.
That's a whole lot of corn.
Including not just have there been 12 movies in the franchise, there have been 3 direct adaptations of the original story. And I say the original story because that's what it was. It wasn't even a novel. It was just a short story. It was originally published in Penthouse Magazine and then in the, I believe, the Night Shift short fiction collection. And we've gotten 12 movies out of this. I knew there were a couple. I did not know there were 12. Guys, let me, before we even talk about this one, this is the list. You have Children of the Corn from 1984. Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice in 1992. Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest, 1995. Children of the Corn, The Gathering, 1996. Children of the Corn 5, Fields of Terror, 1998. Children of the Corn 666. Oh, shit, that's clever. Isaac's Return, 1999. Children of the Corn Revelation in 2001. And then, something I didn't even know, they did the first sort of remake or reimagining of the original movie back in 2009 with another one that's just called Children of the Corn. And then you have a Children of the Corn Genesis in 2011, which I have to assume is a sequel to the 2009 remake Children of the Corn. I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. Children of the Corn Runaway in 2018, also a short film called Disciples of the Crow, all the way back in 1983, part of an anthology called The Night of the Scarecrow. Holy shit, that's a lot of corn, a lot of children, Michelle.
I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and some of my favorite work is his anthologies, the short stories. And there are a lot of short stories that we still don't have a movie about that I do want, including The Jaunt, one of the scariest short stories I've read in my life. That one terrified me. I don't know why. We won't get into it because it is the ending of it that particularly scared me. The Raft, I think we got at least one in Creepshow. The Mist, we got one phenomenally devastating movie out of that. And I believe
Shawshank Redemption is based on a short story?
Yes, it is. So there's a lot of good work. Why on earth do we have 12 Children of the Corn? Are the rights for this one way cheaper?
I don't know, Michelle. I have no idea. And of course, to be fair, most of those are not, like, they're just sort of spin-off sequels from the movie and don't really have anything to do with the original story. But even when you look at that, like as I said, I thought this was the second time the original story had been adapted into a film. It's the third. I had no idea they did this once before back in 2009. There have been so many. Anyway, guys, I don't know if you can tell by how we're already talking about the simple fact that this movie has been made 12 times in the franchise. Let's, Michelle, I guess before we hit our spoiler-free thoughts, why don't you go ahead and read the description, the descrippy script from the Shudder website. It's kind of spoilery, but also at this point, guys, there have been 12 goddamn Children of the Corn movies. If you don't know what this franchise is about, that's not my problem.
This movie is, well, the original movie is like 40 years old. So the original or the original short story and the original movie are far past their children's stages. They are they probably have grandchildren of the corn by this one. Okay, anyway.
Stepchildren of the corn.
Stepchildren of the corn. The worst. Okay. Possessed by a spirit in a dying cornfield, 12-year-old Eden recruits the other children in her small town to go on a bloody rampage and kill all the adults. Children of the Corn, 2020. JD, would you like to hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts?
Sure. I'm gonna try anyway. Children of the Corn, produced in 2020 and finally released and distributed in 2023, is a movie I've seen. 1.5 Skulls.
Okay.
I'm trying real hard. I'm honestly genuinely committed to this whole idea of, like, just because you didn't like something doesn't necessarily mean there's inherently anything bad about it. As we'll talk about eventually, I've already scanned through the other reviews and comments on Shudder. Obviously, there are people who loved this movie. But I at one point, and you are already aware of this, I had my general impression was I feel like maybe RLJE and Shudder owe me an apology. 1.5 Skulls. How about you, Michelle?
You're going to be slightly upset about my rating, but just give me a minute. Give me a minute to
explain.
Don't
do it, Michelle. All right, go ahead.
I feel like there are probably people involved in this movie, particularly most likely the child actors, who thought they were making a legitimately good Stephen King masterpiece. I feel like they gave it their all. There is no way that the majority of people involved in this film did not decide to go into chaotic, campy, messy, ridiculous, so bad it's good territory. And I hope that was an effort they put in, because holy shit, it is so bad it's good. This is on par with Moonfall. Moonfall was one of my favorite movies last year.
Oh, Michelle.
It's not as good as Moonfall, but it is one that I am adding to my list to watch with friends so that we can laugh, because we have reviewed a lot of very bad comedy horror on this podcast, and this was funnier than a lot of them. I had a very, very good time. Now, I cannot give it a 5 because out of context, people will think I'm a crazy person and they will think this is what I think good movies should be. I don't, but I will watch it several times and I will subject my friends to it several times. And I have to at least hope that part of that was intended, that there was supposed to be a very, very campy edge to this, because if it wasn't intended, oh no. But let's just hope that it was. I am going with a 2.
Okay, a 2.
No. I wanted to give it a 5 just to make you upset seeing that on our website under the 5 Skulls section.
Well, I mean, you're the one who would have to live with yourself, Michelle.
You'd have to see it, though, because I am also the one who adds those, and I would make sure it was considered a double 5 movie until you noticed.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Well, with that said,
that's a movie we saw.
I think we need to get into spoiler territory because I have so much to say. And also, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, I think you should watch it, but I also don't think that us spoiling anything is going to spoil this movie.
Yeah, and here's what I can tell you also before we get into it. Right now, the aggregate review on Shudder is a 3 skull. There are plenty of 5 skull reviews here. There are plenty of 1 skull reviews here. So, I mean, as with most things we touch on, keep in mind that these ratings tend to be more about our personal experience with the film. And so, I mean, definitely, this might be for you. Who knows? You might have a good time. Always check it out. But, oh, man, I will never... I'm going to begin immediately tomorrow morning deliberately working to erase the existence of this film from my memory.
I've already researched what it would cost to rent out the Fargo Theater and show this for my birthday next year.
I hate you.
I wanted to do it this year, not with this movie, because I didn't know. There's a different movie I'm obsessed with called The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra that everybody should see. Yep, and I was going to rent out the theater and do that a second time, but with the sequel now. But instead, since they were booked this year, I think next year it will be Children of the Corn 2020 for my birthday.
Well, I guess I won't be at your birthday party next year.
Popcorn. We'll have corn on the cob. Ooh, the Mexican corn. Love Mexican corn. We're going to play Freak on a Leash on repeat. Just on repeat the whole time.
Can we get to the spoiler section, Michelle?
No, I just want to talk about my upcoming corn-themed birthday party, but fine. Okay, I guess.
Guys, so if you do want to see this this atrocity, that's so mean. This is a very difficult situation for me, but we'll talk about it.
I'll be nice on your behalf.
I appreciate it, guys. If you want to go watch it before we spoil a bunch of things, hit the pause button right about now. All right, Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah.
You talk for a while. Tell me tell me how this movie deserved. Look, I can summarize really quickly why I gave this movie 1.5. The one and okay, go ahead. Summarize the movie. I don't know why we're bothering, but go ahead. Summarize the movie for these people.
There's some children, and they're in a town, and the town has cornfields, and everybody in there, they love the corn, except the adults are like, our corn is sick. We don't like the corn anymore. And the children are like, we're mad at the parents about that. So then the children kill all the adults in the town, kind of, and we'll get into that later. But they kill everybody, and then there's the man who walks in the corn, and they're sacrificing all of the adults to keep the corn happy. And then the one 18-year-old girl who's just barely a child still, she's like, I don't like this. Maybe don't kill my dad, please. And then she lights the corn on fire. But then at the end, the he who walks guy comes back, but with Eden's face, or else Eden is burned. I don't know exactly what that CGI was going for, but then she gets Bo in the end anyway. And then the children, they're of the corn now. The end.
Yeah, and you left out the whole part at the beginning where the sheriff and his deputies accidentally murder a school full of children.
Accidentally?
Yeah, Jesus, this movie. Oh, God. Okay, now, please, Michelle, now that we've summarized, here's what I can tell you. Every drop of the 1.5 skulls of credit I'm giving to this movie, I can give directly to one specific thing. The only thing I enjoyed whatsoever about this entire movie was the performance of Eden by Kate Moyer. I thought that girl as evil Eden, the little demon girl, was fantastic. And
I completely
nothing else
agree
about this movie that I enjoyed. Nothing
Eden
at all.
Carried this movie,
She was great. Even
when her acting wasn't that great. It's like, you're a child. You've probably just been in a Wizard of the Oz production in your school. I'm gonna give you, for being a child actor, this is very good. The way that she snaps into mom mode.
Oh, she's better than most of the adult actors in this film.
Yes, she channels a 35-year-old executive woman so well, of being fine, I guess we'll do it your way then. Just great job. What do you say her name was again?
Kate Moyer.
Kate Moyer. Keep an eye out for Kate Moyer. So Kate Moyer, she carried this on her back for sure. Outside of that, 57 minutes in, there is a squelching subtitle, so that gets a full point.
I saw that. That's when who gets stabbed? When she stabs the priest in the eyes.
The person who sinned anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess he's not a priest. He's a minister of some kind.
Maybe
a priest.
I've been trying really hard to write down good things about this movie because I knew that you were going to like it, and everything I like about it is still a bad thing. I can say that despite how stupid it is that Bo shows up to... Okay, hang on. I have so many comments about the story. Let me just... Okay, so Bo's like, we're going to have a mock trial. Get all of your parents together and meet at 10 p.m. in the farming season. Farmers go to sleep well before... the people who wrote this have never lived in a small farm town. I grew up in a small farm town. None of this is accurate.
None of those people would have gotten out of bed. They would have told their kids to fuck off and gone right back to bed. Even if they were in handcuffs, they'd be like, we'll deal with this in the morning. Go the fuck to bed.
Plus, they're assuming that everybody in this town has children that inform them of this, that there are no extra adults lingering. The number of adults that we see is not enough to keep a town running. there's a lot going on here. But Bo is like, we're gonna have a mock trial, and then she shows up, and Eden's like, oh, we already did the trial. And that moment, if it was in any other movie, that reveal and the way that they did it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed that scene, even if it was built on a very dumb premise of just the way it's quiet and so eerie. Ooh.
It also gets even dumber, Michelle, when you consider the fact that, like, earlier in the movie, I think it's maybe 5 minutes earlier in movie time, who knows how much it is in like, the timeline of the story.
Less than a day.
Bo's looking out the window, and she sees a bunch of those crazy kids from the corn just go running down the street way earlier than they're supposed to be. And she just, like, she sees it, and she notices it, and they make it very clear that she noticed it, but then she just keeps on with the plan and doesn't do anything. Like, clearly something is off here. This movie is just so illogical on so many levels. Typically, in my opinion, a really unenjoyable movie starts with the script, and that's what this one did. Like, there are so many things that are just like why they like she even if there wasn't all this like supposed like grain dust or whatever in the air, corn is flammable. Why would these kids be doing anything flammable around the corn? Also, he who walks first Shudder, the one thing I will say is I was pretty upset that they trimmed that name down, because in the original 1984 movie and in the story, I believe, is He Who Walks Behind the Rose, which I thought was a much more esoteric and weird and fun name. But ultimately, what is this, fucking evil corn Groot? Is that's what the monster turns out to be? It's evil corn Groot? He's got a mouth like the alien from Aliens? What the fuck, man? Really? And just like real... real obvious CGI, like the scene when she actually walks into the barn when they tell her they're going to see He Who Walks. Like, she walks around the corner of the barn door, and it's just such an obvious matte painting behind her. It's just none of it. I didn't buy any of it at all. These adults are ridiculous. Also, again, I don't want to pass over it or gloss over it too lightly. This movie starts on a premise of the sheriff and a bunch of his deputies pumping lethal gas into an orphan children's home, ostensibly trying to catch the kid who's gone in to murder all these people. They obviously tried to make you think that dude who comes out of the corn in the opening scene is going to kill Eden on the swings or whatever, but that doesn't happen. There's just so much in this that's so ham-fisted and so ridiculous. And like this movie was made and played, I believe, at a film festival in Florida somewhere back in 2020, and it's just now in 2023 getting a release. It played in theaters for like a week back in March, and now it's available on streaming. And I hate to be this negative, but I think it's pretty obvious why. It's just I don't know, this feels like, I hate to say it feels like such a half effort on so many levels.
I knew that I was going to have problems with the movie when it started off with this, I guess, the massacre of orphan children.
Right.
And the 911 operator is doing her voiceover explaining this, and she sounds so fucking bored, being like, ugh, I guess that there was
also, you start the movie with a sheriff and his deputies murdering a school full of children. And then that's just like your prologue, and the story you're trying to tell is, oh, well, the adults decided they were going to plow under their corn to get the government money for not growing, the subsidy money, and the kids are upset about that because they like to play pirates in the corn. And like that's the dynamic. Like, also, did we all not notice that when they do fast forward several months in the storyline and we get into the main body of the movie, like, that guy is still the sheriff. Apparently nothing happened to these fucking people because they accidentally gassed a school full of orphan kids. It's just the most clunky, unbelievable series of things, and just... I'm sorry, I didn't feel it at all convincingly executed, and it just didn't work for me at all.
That part, though, was the most accurate part to small town living.
Oh, yeah, that they murdered a school full of kids and nothing happened to them. Yeah, that's actually pretty realistic and believable. I get that. I guess you have a point there, yeah. I thought it was pretty ridiculous how they... I feel like if you're going to try to put, I don't think the suggestion, I think doing just the suggestion of child molestation is cowardly and exploitative. And that's what they did with the Pastor Penny character, right? Like, they never at any point come right out and say what is going on there, but they're making you, obviously make the assumption that this was some sort of molestation situation, and that's why they gouge out his eyes and shit, and just something inappropriate, right? And I feel like if you're going to try and use something on that level or of that kind in your movie, you should at least have the guts to say what you're trying to do, right? And I felt that it was milquetoast. If you're not going to go all the way with that, don't go there at all, I guess is what I'm thinking.
I have to give the filmmakers some credit because...
For casting Kate Moyer, yes.
Well, that too. But they did make this movie and made sure that it was children in the movie, because we feel worse when we try to complain about the movie because they're children. I will go on record and say I don't think we should bully children. However, the adults in charge of this production are making it very hard for me to not bully children. And I blame all the adults involved in this because I have so many comments, but they're all so young and full of innocence and not jaded like the rest of us. So I blame all the adults. It's all your fault.
I mean, for that matter, if you want to look at this on an ethical level, I don't know that I necessarily disagree with the kids. I may disagree with their methods, but that's about it, right? These people gassed a school full of kids, and nothing came of it. I feel like Eden at least has a strong argument in her favor, right? How am I supposed to sympathize with these people that she's murdering when the movie starts with some of those people murdering a school full of kids and the rest of them doing nothing about it? It's just, I don't know. What if I was supposed to root for the kids, then I guess I just misunderstood, and maybe this is a better movie than I thought. But I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be rooting for the children of the corn.
I would like to nitpick several things, but they're so large that it's not even nitpicking. It's just complaints about the movie. One of them, how in the fuck did they manage to dig a hole? Well, I mean, the hole existed. That's not my point, but they put all the adults into a hole and buried them all before any of them escaped. Have they never heard the parable about the man whose donkey gets stuck in a hole, so he starts piling dirt on top of it, and the donkey keeps stepping on the dirt until he can get out of the hole? How did none of the adults figure that out? That is just... that part especially. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I don't know why the hole made me so angry. Where did they get all the dirt at? That would have taken a very long time. There was only, I think, one, whatever the bucket vehicle thing is.
There were two.
Oh, I was going to say, was there two? I was about to, but then I got caught
also,
on the
Michelle,
bucket
where
thingy.
they got the dirt from is from where the hole is now. That's where all the dirt came from. They dug the hole.
How recently was the hole dug?
I would imagine just that same day with those machines.
So hang on. The entire movie takes place within the span of 24 hours, with a few exceptions being the prologue. So you're telling me that on top of everything else we saw on screen,
no, I think it's 2 days.
These people dug a hole?
I think it's 2 days. Like the first day at night, they put those people in the jail and they gas all of them, and then overnight because when the people wake up then later in the hole, it's daytime again. So I think it's 2 days.
True. Okay, so 2 days. Never mind. That was plenty of time to dig a hole.
Right.
But the hole was there at the start of the movie.
Well, you're also glossing over the most ridiculous part of the whole scenario, which is you have not one but two 12-year-olds who can adequately and with great control and skill operate a giant fucking payloader that can dig giant holes in the dirt.
That's 100% accurate. Small town farm life. We can do anything.
Right, absolutely. It's just what the fuck, man. Yeah, this is and also, Michelle, those adults were not able to like they got them into that hole because the kids actually understand how to measure and use that gas better than the adults do, and they were able to give them just enough to knock them out but not kill them, and then put them in the hole, and then they stopped giving them the gas and they eventually woke up.
But they're so lively in the hole. That's why I think that they could have. It's just that part in particularly.
Also, did you think, just on a very base level, did you think that somebody who wrote this movie, a.k.a. also the director, I don't even remember what his name was. What is it? It's right up here. Kurt Wimmer, yeah. Do you think he thought he was super clever by naming the kids Boleyn and Cecil so that the diminutive form of the girl's name was Bo and of the boy's name was Cece?
Are those the names from the original?
No, what I'm saying is almost like you hear the name Bo. I guess I don't know about you, but I hear the name Bo, and I'm directed more towards a boy's name.
Oh, and Cece.
And Cece directed kind of more towards a female traditionally named. Now that's a dumb built-in cultural assumption on my part. But it's also the kind of thing where I'm just like, it seems like that guy might have thought he was super clever for that.
I thought of Little Bo Peep and her sheep.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Maybe I'm just in that place where I'm like being extra critical now and just looking for shit.
Let's be extra critical about another part in the very beginning of this movie that upset me. She's putting together a jigsaw puzzle, and she picks up the pieces and tries to put them together mid-air. Child, that's not how jigsaw puzzles work. Eden, I would be frustrated in killing adults, too, if they didn't teach me how to jigsaw puzzle correctly.
Well, also, didn't you notice she was trying to put the piece in the puzzle, and she couldn't get the piece in the puzzle? And the way the pastor got her to put the piece in the puzzle is he just turned the puzzle upside down. Mm-hmm. As if the problem was she didn't understand that she was trying to put the piece in upside down.
And this
Are
is
you
the
fucking serious?
Mastermind. Why was she in all the cosplay wigs at the beginning of the movie?
Oh, yeah.
What was that about?
Well, the leader of the children in the short story and also in the original film is a redheaded child. So it's a play on that.
Child, they put crazy cosplay
right,
wigs
they
on her
put her in crazy cosplay wigs and stuff. Also, I wanted to ask you, this description of the film on Shudder says that Eden is possessed by a spirit from the cornfield. Did you at any point in this get the impression that she was supposed to be possessed by anything?
Hell no, she did.
Neither did I.
Free will. He who walks behind the rows, among the rows, through the rows. What's the preposition there?
It's he who walks behind the rows originally.
The rows.
The idea being like, wait, isn't behind the row just more rows? So it's almost like an out of space dimensional thing. Yeah.
I like it. I like that concept more than I like anything else in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
God, I am going to watch it so many times, though. This is going to be one that will be on my party playlist for sure of, hey, you guys want to watch a movie? And then my friends go, is it going to be scary? Please don't do that to us again. Remember host? And I'm like, I know, I can't be trusted. We're going to watch Children of the Corn 2020. I'm trying to build their trust in me back because it's been like 2 years and I'm still not allowed to pick movies for movie nights without them Googling first after making them watch several scary things. But you know what? No regrets.
Yeah. Well, in this movie, look, I got to tell you, the only other Children of the Corn movie I've ever seen is the very first one from 1984. I've only seen it once, and it was a long, long time ago, so I don't really actually remember much about it at all. Here's what I'm pretty certain of. I'm pretty sure that he who walks behind the rose never actually appears, because the whole point in the story and in that movie is he who walks behind the rose is supposed to be like an evil spirit, right? It doesn't have a body. And that's why I was so taken aback. Like, this movie, it's literally Evil Corn Groot. Like, it's like, what were you thinking you were going to be able to, like, merchandise this film for kids or something? Like the movie where you open with a bunch of children being murdered and then a bunch of children murder a bunch of adults? You thought you were going to be able to make that movie toyetic and sell some shit to kids? Really? I don't know. I don't know if that's what they had in mind or not. But when that thing walked out of the cornfield and it just looked like a big monster Groot, I was just, I was out completely.
I think that would make it more terrifying being murdered and, well, drug into the corn first by that thing. Would just be like, oh, I'm about to die to something that looks ridiculous. No one is going to, they're going to be like, wow, you couldn't get away from the gigantic Groot creature. I'd be like, right. Oh, I deserve to die. I know. The main thing I have to say about the Children of the Corn series as a whole, because I am done talking about this dumpster fire, is that I'm glad that I have learned that there are 12 Children of the Corn movies. I thought there were, 5, maybe 7. It's like Hellraiser, where I have no concept, but I have tried to watch all of them, and there's still always more. It's like drinking out of a goblet where it's never empty, except I wish it would empty, because I am still forcing myself to watch all the Hellraisers, and it is fucking torture. Anyway, Children of the Corn, for the last couple years, before I even knew that Shudder was going to put this out, and even before we had the podcast, so I knew there was any possibility we would be talking about it, I had started watching the Children of the Corn movies because I have this vivid memory from when I was a child of watching one of the movies, and there's a part where like she tears her tooth out or something, and it gave me such a visceral reaction. I hate teeth stuff, and I've been watching so many Children of the Corn movies, and I know I have not watched 12 of them. So now I'm like, there is still hope that this is not just a fever dream. It does exist in one of these goddamn movies. I just haven't found it. Knowing my luck, it's probably in like the second one, and I completely skipped over that one somehow.
Well, I wish you luck in your quest, Michelle.
I'm going to have to keep watching more of the Children of the goddamn Corn.
Well, I'm glad it's only you and not me.
I grew up in a small farm town. This was my reality. All of the adults were murdered by children to keep the corn happy. I raised myself. That would actually explain a lot. If I raised myself and frankly. This is the human I became. Well, that's some lore to add to my Wikipedia page.
Yeah, something I do want to do here that we've been trying to do more of lately is when there is a movie that we don't really care for, we want to at least give you some more positive opinions. Because again, we're just a couple of dimps with thoughts of our own. From the Shudder website, looking at some 5-skull reviews here. Forever, it's almost like it was supposed to be forever, but they ended it with a V instead of an R. Forever_Esther, 5 skulls. I really loved this film. I thought it was going to be a remake of the first. I really liked Bo as a character, and I think Eden and the rest did amazing as antagonists. The atmosphere felt very eerie. I don't know why. I would definitely watch this again. Shine a Canterbury J, another 5 skulls. I thought this was really good. It's a horror movie, so I wasn't really expecting a thought-provoking experience. Ooh, that's underhanded. But it was well done. The kids all did a great job, and it was fun to watch. It was everything I had hoped it would be. Horror fan 24/7, 5 skulls. Move over, Isaac. Eden is here to stay. So again, like I said, it's got an aggregate overall score right now of 3 out of 5. That's definitely on the positive side of the scale. Some people are really enjoying this movie. Some people are not. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's not. There's really only one way to find out.
I really like this person. First off, love the screen name Shudder 96.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. This movie is surprisingly good. Some parts are cringy, but overall very entertaining and has great effects. Check it out. And it gets a 5 skull. Yeah. I just love, some of this made me physically uncomfortable, and I cringed. 5 skulls.
We have Karin Tides 1, a 4 out of 5, a lot better than the negative reviews. 7, and then it's a 4 out of 5 on the Shudder scale, but in his little comment here, or her comment, their comment, they say 7.5 out of 10, which is roughly there. Wasn't bored with the movie and had a pretty good progression with it. Decent/good actresses and actors with the flick. Yeah, guys, that's this one didn't work for either Michelle or I. Guys, I gotta, if there is one reason to watch this movie, I will say this. I think this movie might be worth one viewing for certain people, just to be able to see the performance from Kate Moyer as Eden, the young lady who's the new leader of the Children of the Corn in this iteration of the story. She is fantastic, a really great performance, and I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing. There are so many great creepy fucking kid actors happening in the last couple of years. It's really kind of upsetting in a lot of ways, but also I appreciate it. How do you feel about that, Michelle?
I am too fixated on a review I found while you were reading those ones.
Oh, tell me about it.
I know that we have been trying to do this thing where if we don't like a movie, in order to still stay positive and not be complete dicks all the time, that we like to read positive reviews and hear different opinions outside of our own. But I do need to tell you about this one skull review from D. Rinaldi 777. This made Texas Chainsaw almost look good. Fuck you, D. Rinaldi 777. That's a great movie.
Well, you have to clarify. Like, is he talking about the original, or does he mean remake. The one specifically that? Well, there is one that's specifically titled Texas Chainsaw, I believe.
True. Okay.
There's some entry in the franchise. In fact, I'm gonna make sure I know what I'm talking about here.
Okay. Thank you. I was raging. How the fuck?
No, I was. Yeah, that's definitely. It's like, come on, buddy.
I hope they meant the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though, just because I like when people spread about chaos in the universe. I'm all about that life.
I guess there's a Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to see that.
From 2013. That's the one that I was thinking of.
I have to see that. I just watched My Bloody Valentine in 3D, and that was an adventure.
Was it?
It was so fun. Not in the way that it wanted to be, but in the way that I wanted it to be. I had a very good time, especially because I wasn't watching it in 3D, but I did get to really, it was during that time, I think like 2013 or so, where there was a lot of 3D movies being made, and then you'd watch them and it was like deliberately straight at the camera, acts, and it's such a funny effect without the 3D. And it's great.
That's the same thing they did in the mid 80s with like Friday the 13th. I think it was either the third or the fourth one that was in 3D. Like, there are plenty of things in that where stuff is deliberately thrown right at the screen, right? It's the same old tricks. But one thing also I almost forgot, but I do want to say about this movie, one thing also that I want to give it some credit for is if you are a gore hound, there are a few really fun gore moments in this movie. Not a lot of active, like visible trauma. Most of it is like you get to see the aftermath. But there's one scene in particular involving the pastor's eyes that I thought was delightfully disgusting. And overall, there's some good blood and guts in this. I did love how like her whole logic was that she had run away and then driven away to create like a a path of gasoline all the way back through the woods to the barn, and then it's just like a perfectly straight line all the way through the corn.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on the physics of that. I don't know a lot about physics. My friend Morgan is the reason I got through them. Hey, Morgan, shout out. She's a brilliant scientist, one of the smartest people I know. And I bet if I showed her that scene, she'd be like, that's not how that works.
But here's one thing I know. Yes, dust burns, but part of the crucial element to anything explosive is, it's going to burn, but it's only going to explode if it's under pressure. Right? And this is a barn with both doors open. It might erupt pretty heavily, but the whole cornfield isn't just going to explode into flames. It has, I don't know if you've noticed, a big open field of sky above it for a couple of miles.
So overall, this movie is a 5 out of 5, highly recommended.
I will stab you.
And it'll still be a better horror moment than anything this movie provided.
Yeah, probably. Children of the Corn 2020/2023. Thanks, RLJE. Thanks, Shudder.
Thanks, Stephen King. I love
guys,
you.
We're on, the original story is pretty good. I dig it. Anyway, guys, don't put this on the King, man. That
was genuine. I love Stephen King.
Oh, okay.
I thought you
were being snarky.
No,
guys, check us out.
Huge King fan.
Check us out on the social medias. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. It's easy to find us. It's just at We Watch Shudder on all of those platforms. We have WeWatchShudder.com is our website. If you're into old school email communication, you can get at us mail at WeWatchShudder.com. If you could, guys, it would be really awesome if you go to whatever service that you receive our podcast through and leave us a rating. And if you have time to leave a few comments, a review as well. We continue to grow at a nice steady pace, but any kind of extra traction we can get is always very much appreciated. If you could do that for us. Do you have any last words you'd like to share, Michelle?
Nope, just some cool news that we finally have enough ratings on Spotify that we can see our rating on Spotify. They don't show it unless several people have rated us. We're at like 4.5 or something. And you know what?
Sweet.
That's fine. I'll take 4.5.
I'll take 4.5 skulls.
I would take 3 out of 5, just knowing my level of I don't want to say effort. What's the word I'm looking for? Like my level of executing this podcast well.
Oh, you do.
Take a 3.
You're a solid 3.75 if I ever saw one, Michelle. Give yourself some credit.
3.75 out of 10.
I did. Oh, stop that.
Oh, stop. Okay.
Oh, so guys, thank you once again for joining us. We appreciate that. If you enjoy the show, tell your friends. If you don't enjoy the show, shut the fuck up. I think that pretty much summarizes it. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.